Dying to Live, The Journey into a Man's Open Heart is one of the most anticipated films here at the Jacksonville Film Festival, and it's screened at the Jacksonville Public Library downtown. With me is Ben Mittleman, the director and producer of the film. Ben, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Good. Give us a little summary of what the film is all about.
Well, Dying to Live is really a film about the inevitable issues that are facing an aging population. It's a story of survival. It's a story of it's an inspirational story of the struggle to grow and the joy of life. When I turned 50 years old, I had open heart surgery for the same medical ailment that had derailed my father's life when I was a boy, and I had to have a mitral valve repaired. And at the same time, my wife was diagnosed with lung cancer, and my mother was diagnosed with colon cancer. I came to be the caregiver for two other members of my family, and I was making my first documentary film called The Youngest Guns, which was about professional basketball players that had gone out of school early to jump into the pros. While I was making that, a director had said to me, the success of a documentary film is simple. You just turn the camera on your subject, and you hope he dies. And I knew that was a metaphor for hoping that something dramatic would happen. Little did I know where my own story was going to go. By the end of it, both my mother and my wife had passed away. So the film is a story about dealing with the difficult issues that people do not want to discuss.
Your experience then in learning about this subject has been ongoing, but what was the timeline of actually producing the film?
Well, the timeline of making the film about my heart surgery was about 9 months, and then my wife was diagnosed, and we went to Europe for the last time, and that's where she accepted, or actually she proposed to me. She always liked to say that she asked me after we had been together for 20 years. And we came back and we got married, and she underwent chemotherapy, and it was only 3.5 years later, after I had been there for her during her demise and her eventual death, and the death of our very good friend whom I took care of, and then I went back and lived with my mom in Virginia to take care of her and spend 7 really wonderful months with her. And I came back and I realized that we had turned the camera on the subject. I was looking at the projects that I had still to complete in my life, and this was a film I had never completed. And I said we had turned the camera on the subject, and the subject had lived so that he could help other people die. And those became the bookends for telling the story. So then I went back in and I got a lot of archival footage of my family and my mom and my dad, and previous to my dad's surgery, because my life had now paralleled his in many ways. He had given up his career to take care of his family when he was much younger. He had been a professional violinist. And so I went back, and it took 2 years to make the film from that point on. I didn't make this film because I was looking to bring it to a film festival. I wasn't looking to make a commercial film out of it. I was just trying to tell a very truthful story. When I originally had turned the camera on myself before my heart surgery, I knew that something unavoidably honest and truthful was going to take place. I had been an actor in Hollywood for 25 years at that point. I had worked in a lot of sitcoms and television shows in more of a journeyman level, although I had starred in a couple of films. And I knew that always the best work for me had come out of being able to use my own personal experience. So that's why I started the film. I didn't realize how truthful and honest the film would really motivate me to be.
What do you think people are taking away from it then?
Well, I think people relate to the fact that these are the inevitable issues that everybody faces at some point in their life, whether it's going to be their own mortality, whether it's spousal disease, parental dependence, caregiving. In life, 85% of people are either going to receive caregiving or give caregiving at some point in their life. And I think people relate to the fact that these are the difficult questions that they need to begin to discuss in their lives with their families. I'm hoping that the film is a tool for people to open up to these issues.
And what happens next with the film?
Well, the film was just reviewed by the New York Times. We were at the American Society on Aging Film Festival, and I'm looking to take it and open it in New York independently.
That's great. Well, the film, again, is Dying to Live, and if you didn't get to come to the screening, you definitely want to check out more information on it on the Film Festival website at filmfestival.jacksonville.com. For Jacksonville.com, I'm Amanda Warford.